Hello, hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Listen, I am flying solo today because Ken is in Japan and, John Gamba, busy guy, so he joins every other week. So I am hoping that somebody out there in Facebook land or in LinkedIn land or in YouTube land, Instagram land, whatever land you're in, that you can confirm that we are live. I'm going to look in the chat here. Remember that you can chat very easily with me. Let me see here. I can see myself. Yeah, it sounds like we are. So remember that you can hop in the chat wherever you are joining from in one of those places, and we can talk. And so you can be a part of this conversation. It's probably a good week to have John not available because tonight's a big night. Tonight's a big night between me and John because of this. Because of this. Oh, yeah. Because of this, John. I know you're out there somewhere. I know you're out there and you can hear this. So tonight, the Redskins, the Commanders, the Washington football team play John's Eagles. Big game, big NFC East game. So I know everybody's very pumped about that. We don't have to get into what the name of the team is, but it is the Washington football team taking on the team from Philadelphia. So cool. We've got Scott joining from the Midwest and Janie, and I hope that I pronounced your name right, Janie, joining as well. Awesome to have you guys in. If you want to say who you are, where you are, and talk about a little bit about your company in education, that's great because mainly the people who are joining are in the education space. So and not necessarily in the football business. Although Ernie, who's joining from beautiful Southern California, of course, is in the football business. Although he runs a company in education, he loves football. He's a season ticket holder for the Chargers. He's all about them bolts. So welcome everybody into our live. I don't know about you guys. This week has been a tough one. When it rains, it pours, and it can go both ways. And I've had a lot of good rain lately, but then I had some bad rain this week. And I actually thought, should I be sharing this on LinkedIn? Should I share it here? I'm only going to share it here because I'm not going to necessarily put this out fully into the LinkedIn world. This is a smaller group. But I don't know, just kind of some business things didn't necessarily break our way. And then unfortunately, we had a fire in the backyard of our house in Capitol Hill, DC. And while our house was not hurt and nobody inside, thank God, was hurt, it did destroy our fence. It did destroy the backyard. We had so many unbelievable memories in with our daughter as she was growing up. And it did destroy 3 chairs that I had from old Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, where the Orioles used to play. Really classic chairs. And then what it caused is it kicked off, now the insurance, and we'll have to go to toe-to-toe with them. And, we have people who are actually renting our house there, and we want them to be happy, and they've been phenomenal. So I don't know how your week is going. Actually, I do know that somebody who has joined here, I think, kind of expressed that it was a tough week. So if you guys are having a tough week out there, I'm with you. If you're having a great week, I am happy for you. Give me some of that mojo, please. But just remember that we got to keep everything not too high and not too low. So that's how I'm starting this conversation, because I want to be real with you guys. And now we're going to really talk about starting conversations in the education space. And this is a real challenge for a lot of folks. Okay. When people join our Ed Sales Elevation Experience, I know, I have seen where people are going to struggle. And one of those points where people struggle is when they have to start reaching out on LinkedIn. And what happens is we really do a lot of deep work that, I hate to sound like Donald Trump here. Most people have never seen that work that we do on a potential client and understanding our potential clients, our ideal clients. And then we spend about a week and a half to 2 weeks really polishing up our LinkedIn profile, because LinkedIn is just a wonderful place to grow your credibility. There are 150,000 educators, that includes schools, that are on LinkedIn. So there's people for you to reach out to and have conversations with about how you can help them with your solution. So that's all good. Okay, we've really thought hard about the ideal client, and we've done all this great work on your LinkedIn profile so that it is a sales funnel and not just a resume or some awards you've won. Check. Then we get to the Raise Your Hand campaign. And in the Raise Your Hand campaign, you have to start reaching out to people on LinkedIn. And that, as I said, can be nerve-wracking. The challenge of how do you break the ice, making meaningful conversations, and most importantly, for the people in our group, nobody wants to be pushy or very salesy. So how do you be not pushy, not salesy, but reach out to somebody who's never heard of you and start a conversation? Those two don't necessarily add up unless you've gone through the Ed Sales Elevation Experience and we've had conversations about this together. You're nervous that if you reach out, somebody who you've never met before won't respond, or your message won't resonate with them, or they'll reply back and say, I don't understand what you do, or I'm not interested in your services. All of those things equal rejection. All of those things can hurt. And so a lot of folks are not interested in reaching out because they're worried about rejection. I'm going to pause here and have everybody take a look at the chat. I want people to see Scott Martin, great guy from the middle of this wonderful country, the United States, and he is helping people abroad. And Scott and I have gotten to know each other. Could not be any nicer. Proves the theory that absolutely the nicest people are from the Midwest. Now, I'll say this: some of the coolest people in the country are from the West Coast, and you got Ernie Delgado checking in. And Ernie has been a part of our program now, and I have seen people make a lot of strides and a lot of changes who have joined our program. But Ernie, honestly, might be very close to the top. And I said this to Ernie. I met Ernie, maybe it was last May, last April. We quickly got to know each other, especially because we both wear black t-shirts a lot. And if you're on camera, you can see my black t-shirt. Ernie is a changed man in a wonderful way. He has really dug into the Ed Sales Elevation Experience, the mindset and the method. And he is in a place, hold on, come back to that. Ernie is in a brand new place with his business, and I'm so happy for him, and I'm so excited for him. And I'm not going to mention the number, but he has some absolutely astounding near 7-figure numbers coming at him from the work that he's done. Now, we've got Amanda checking in. Of course, you know, a New Jersey and New Yorker is not going to stand by and let me say those great things about the West Coasters. And Amanda's right. East Coasters are super cool too. And that's who I am. And anybody in New York, New Jersey is going to tell me they're cooler than me because I'm from Washington, D.C. Amanda, welcome in. Amanda and I have known each other since my days at American University, and she's doing some amazing things. So Amanda, if you would pop in your business and the work you're doing, I think that's helpful as well. And then Janie, you are in luck. You live 6 months in Illinois and 6 months in Oregon. That's a fantastic deal. What part of Oregon? I spent a lot of time growing up in Portland, have really great family and friends in Portland. Love Portland, although obviously it's there's much more to Oregon than just Portland. It's such a wonderful place. So let's get back to a little bit talking about how you reach out to people. What I just did is potentially it. Make connections with people. And not talking about the weather and I hope you're doing well today, blah, 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 but true connections. And I want to say you can leverage whatever works for you to make those connections. We have a client. Her name is Catherine. And I would say next to Ernie, Catherine has made some of the largest strides since she did the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. Her business is booming. And when I say booming with a big, big capital B, she's hiring 3 new people to help with her sales. And I'm proud to say, because of her hard work and our method, we put her on that path. And she's been amazing. I had a interaction with Catherine during the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. She wanted to reach out to a superintendent that was in the Minnesota area. So we went to go check this guy out. We looked on LinkedIn. We did some research on him. And not only was he a superintendent, he was clearly a football fan. He was clearly a Minnesota Vikings fan. And so Catherine, who's up on all things DC, we started talking and we made the connection that the former quarterback of the Washington football team, if that's who I should call them, the former quarterback had left DC and was in Minnesota doing great things, winning a lot of games, not winning the big one because Kirk Cousins can't win the big one, it seems like, but he was winning a lot of games. And so we had Catherine reach out to this particular person and mention, we've got some shared connections, not only education but also football. And she was often running from there, not only on reaching out and how to reach out, but she was also often running in terms of a mindset, of how you can speak to people, make connections, nurture those connections, and then start to listen to them. We're going to talk about that. So some of the tips that I always recommend to folks: build rapport. Building rapport is really digging deep potentially. If you can use football and you're into football and they're into football, that's great. If you can find another true shared connection, that's great too, as long as it's genuine. Okay? I happen to sit on the advisory board of the San Miguel de Allende Writers Conference in Mexico. And for some reason, I am getting a lot of people reaching out who are trying to help us build that conference. And I asked them questions about Mexico or San Miguel or writing, and they don't have any answers. They simply want to sell. Okay, I'm not trying to waste anybody's time, but I'll be honest. I do sometimes have fun with people who reach out to me and they say, "Oh, I saw your profile and I was so impressed and I think you should write a book." I'm like, "Really? What should we write a book about?" Or, "Hey, Josh, I seen all the great work you've done. I think you should create a podcast." "Really? What about the two that I have now?" So those are not genuine connections. That is not building rapport. We need to build genuine rapport. Another thing you can do is you can check out mutual connections. And you can see through LinkedIn who you might have in connection with this person. And if it's a really important opportunity for you to connect with this person, you could potentially reach out to the person you know. And you could say, "Anything you can do to help me, kind of make this introduction?" And maybe you can mention somebody. That's a way to do it, is having mutual connections, as we know. Another way is offering immediate value. Immediate value. I know Ernie. I know Scott pretty well at this point. You guys have immediate value that you could offer in a short amount of time to your ideal client, whether it be a lead magnet, a PDF that you could share, whether it would be 15 minutes of talking to somebody. So if you're interested in speaking to somebody, you could offer them value right out of the gate, even before you ask them for anything. And by the way, you shouldn't be asking them for anything. When you connect with somebody, even if your end goal at the 99-yard line is to potentially sell to them, you should spend 98 of those yards listening, and listening. We have people who are in our program who have been very successful in the education space selling, which is a very tough place to sell. And we teach them our Raise Your Hand campaign formula, which at the heart of it is all about listening. And when you listen to somebody, you really understand how you can help them, not how they can help you get one more sale. That's not what this is about. The mindset is, how can you help them? And you have to listen to them first to be able to help them. And then what I encourage you to do is to take time. To take time after you have met with them and not offer your solution or your ideas immediately. What I do first is a confirmation call. I don't call it a discovery call. I do a confirmation call, because most people, when I reach out to them, when they haven't heard of me, they do their research and they see my activity on LinkedIn. They see that I spoke at Penn's Graduate School of Education. They see that I've got this show. They do their work. They come prepared. I love that. And then when we meet, we don't really talk about the weather, where they are, where I am. We dive right in, because we're really trying to figure out how and when we can work together. So when you reach out to people, to recap, you should build that rapport, check their connections, offer immediate value. And then, and this is one that people miss all the time, you need to follow up. You absolutely need to follow up. Okay? Doesn't have to be a super long email. But after you reach out, after you make that connection, after you listen to them, you should absolutely follow up and tell them, "Thank you for taking the time. Here's what I heard, and I'm looking forward to an opportunity to talk with you more." And if that sounds like a daunting thing to do, If that sounds like when I was growing up and my mom said you have to write a thank you note, and I know Amanda can relate to this, our Jewish moms were probably equally on us about writing thank you notes. Before you even open the gift, my mom was telling me to write a thank you note. So if it is kind of a daunting thing on your to-do list to write a thank you note to somebody who took the time to meet with you, here's a little trick. You could have your note taker sit in on your meeting with the person. I recommend Otter as a note taker. I have a referral code if you'd like it. It gets you a discount. Reach out to me. And I have my Otter sitting in on every conversation. And a pretty cool hack is that now Otter, and I've been with them for 2 years, now Otter has AI. So what you can do is you can go into your conversation in Otter and you can ask AI to write a nice 5-sentence thank you note that you can copy and paste and put into an email to that person. You could take it a step further. You could say thank you, and you can even ask the Otter to give you 5 main takeaways. And then you can put those takeaways into the thank you note so that you can show that you were listening. And then you can put your calendar link and hopefully move on to the next level of your relationship with this potential client, because you now can have another meeting with them. The most important thing you're going to do in any of these meetings is listen. Listen, listen, listen. And again, that is a forgotten art. And the reason that you are listening is because the more that you hear what your ideal client wants, the more that you can address those concerns. And if you've built a solid solution, product, platform, whatever it is, you will be able to address those things one by one. And sometimes it's pretty interesting. Sometimes when you're listening to people and they're telling you their challenges, you might want to hop in and say, we can do that. We can help. I can do that. I've got a solution for that. No, that's not the time. It's not the time. The time is later. Right now, you are just listening. So I know I've gone kind of further down the road here. This talk was more about tips for reaching out to potential clients, which we went through. So I don't know if any of you guys in the chat world there are able to pop in some of your ideas of what has worked for you to reach out to potential clients. But I've given you some of my ideas, and I hope those make sense. But please feel free to pop in some of your ideas, because again, I look at Janie, I look at Scott, I look at Amanda, I look at Ernie, look at some of the other people who I know are here, and I know everybody's in the education space. And again, let me validate for you. If you're struggling with generating leads, it's really challenging to generate leads in the education space, especially if you don't have a proven method that you're using, something that you can repeat over and over again. That's what we have helped Ernie figure out. Again, I'm not going to take all the credit, because my man Ernie has been working very, very hard on his business, and it is absolutely paying off. So those are some of the top tips to reach out to your potential clients. I would love to see some of the other ideas. And by the way, we're not just having this conversation to have this conversation. We've got a show that was released. I believe it was last Friday. Maybe it was 2 Fridays ago at this point. And it is all about some of the topics we're discussing here. So I encourage you guys, if you can, subscribe on Apple. The reason I say Apple is because we have 80% of the people who are listening to our show are listening via Apple. And by the way, 5-star reviews, 5 stars and reviews are welcome. Breaking the Grade is the name of the show. So feel free to listen to Breaking the Grade, subscribe. Basically, we use this event as an opportunity to talk more about what we do talk in Breaking the Grade. Janie, welcome to the world of education and getting out of the corporate world. Mazel tov. I know that we are hopefully a few clicks away from getting a chance to meet. I think you had some stuff going on at home. Totally all good. We all kind of do right now, it seems like, maybe, or at least you and I. But when you get a chance, book a meeting. Let's talk. Smart Ernie posted his LinkedIn profile. Scott, Janie, Amanda, I encourage you guys to do that. Everybody else who's out there listening, because what we can do is we can kind of trick the algorithm when it comes to LinkedIn, and we're doing it. Meaning, we've got this group here of the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. We've got our community. And so we're following each other. And as we post, people are liking and resharing and commenting, and that helps the algorithm. So we are kind of tricking the algorithm with our wonderful community. Our community supports each other so much. So much. And I am seeing it more and more and more. And Ernie is out there kind of leading this as well. And I appreciate that. Ernie's got a great conference that he runs. It's coming up in, we believe, July in beautiful Pasadena. It's called the Innovative Educators Conference. It's a great conference. You guys should absolutely try and make it. There's Josh Fisher, another absolutely wonderful person from the middle of the country. I have said that Josh and Ernie should connect. You guys are both kind of in the faith-based business a little bit, and I think you both should connect and talk. As Scott said, these are great affirmations of what I've been doing. I follow their trail of work history in search of shared people and experiences. Absolutely. Scott, you're on the right track. So that's great. I'd like to see Ernie and Josh Fisher get together. Ernie says the conference is going to be in Huntington Beach, Cali, one of my favorite places. And then there's Brent chiming in from the East Coast. Great conference. Ernie was out. Ernie organized it. Brent and his daughter, who happens to be his co-founder, no joke, 12 years old, were out there for the conference. And we had a great conference. Not only do we have a great conference, not only did we get to meet some really wonderful people and educators and network, we ate so many hamburgers at In-N-Out that I thought that they were going to have to close the place down. So glad that you guys, Josh and Ernie, are going to get together. Sounds like you had a near miss. That happens. You're both busy people. You're both wonderful people. So you'll work it out. Everybody who's joined today, I appreciate it. I hope you got a lot out of this. I get so much out of interacting with you guys, even kind of a down week, and we all have them. This is super uplifting. And we should absolutely keep the conversation going. If you see that QR code on the screen, you could snap that. You can join our community. I believe the majority of you are already in that community. And if you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn, although I'm connected with all of you guys on LinkedIn and we're having some active conversations, my LinkedIn is there kind of scrolling on the bottom, which is pretty darn cool. So I appreciate everybody who has joined. Let's keep the conversation going together. There's Scott Martin's LinkedIn profile, which you guys should all connect, support Scott. I know this guy, he'll do the same thing for us. And let's keep the conversation going. Next week, we will have John back in the seat. And we'll continue conversations. John and I are in the process of organizing, going to a conference here in Mexico in Monterrey, Mexico in late January, one we went to last year. And I'm going to have a show hopefully soon on conferences, because I want to know where you guys are going for conferences next year. I have actually put together a little conference schedule. John and I spent a couple of hours last weekend kind of putting our dance card together. We've got maybe ASU GSV in San Diego in April on that dance card. Maybe South by Southwest EDU I believe that's in March. Definitely John's going to have an event on June the 5th in Philadelphia, the Catalyst event. We've got Ernie coming up in July, and I'm thinking about ISTE, which is in San Antonio, place I've never been. So I would love to know where you guys are going. So there's the link there to the conference. Go to iec.com in the chat so you can learn more about what Ernie's doing. It's been wonderful meeting with everybody. Let's connect in our LinkedIn thread, our community. And I hope that these tips of reaching out to potential clients have validated in Scott's case, or have given you some new ideas, maybe in Janie's case, because she's new to the education space. Hope everybody has a great rest of your week. If you get a chance and you want to watch some football tonight, root for the Washington football team, please.